If you sit at the wrong table in a restaurant, you've already lost in an emergency. As a former soldier and security professional, today I am showing you the geometry of survival. We're not going to waste any time with long introductions here because, let's face it, in the reality of self-protection, there is absolutely no pause button. Every single day, every hour, we move through physical spaces. And while most people just kind of wander through these spaces completely unconsciously, a professional sees something entirely different. They see angles, they see barriers, they see tactical advantages and disadvantages. So in today's briefing, we are going to systematically build that exact mindset.
I want to repeat that because it's so important. If you sit at the wrong table in a restaurant, you have already lost in an emergency. It's a harsh reality, I know, but it's the absolute truth. When a critical situation escalates, whether we're talking about an aggressive attack, a robbery, or just sudden panic breaking out in a room, it isn't necessarily the strongest person who wins. No, the winner is the person who could react a fraction of a second earlier. And here's the secret. You don't buy that time through crazy fast reflexes. You buy it through your positioning in the room long before anything actually happens. You are literally making the most important decision for your safety the exact moment you sit down.
All right, let's dive into Section 1. The geometry of survival, seeing space as a tactical landscape.
So, in everyday civilian life, most of us move through spaces completely goal-oriented, right? We look for the shortest path to the restroom, maybe the table with the best lighting, or the most comfortable seat on the train. That is totally human, but it also makes us highly predictable and, frankly, vulnerable. From an operational, tactical perspective, every room is a complex structure. Think of it like a giant chessboard. Spatial tactics, or Raumtaktik, are our core tool here. It simply means analyzing angles, barriers, choke points, and sightlines to maximize your reaction time and distance. Why? Because whoever stands or sits correctly sees dangers coming before they even arise. They are never caught off guard. And look, this isn't about living in constant paranoia. It's just about making strategic decisions a habit by intelligently reading the room.
Moving on to Section 2. Scenario 1. The restaurant. Activating the OODA loop. Picture this, a nice dinner with friends or grabbing a quick afternoon coffee. It seems like the most peaceful situation in the world, doesn't it? But precisely because we relax in these environments, we tend to drop our vigilance all the way down to zero. Let's look at the classic civilian mistake versus the professional tactic. The absolute beginner mistake is sitting with your back to the door or plopping down right in the middle of the room at a table that leaves you completely exposed from 360 degrees. You are quite literally a sitting duck flying blind. The tactic, on the other hand, is to choose a table so that your back is protected by a solid barrier. We're talking a wall, a massive pillar, or a sturdy partition. At the same time, you want to maintain a direct line of sight to the main entrance and ideally other access points like the kitchen doors or the restrooms.
The whole point here is the tactical advantage this setup brings you. This positioning massively increases your early warning time for anything unpredicted. Imagine a highly aggressive person suddenly enters the establishment. If your back is securely to the wall, you perceive this person the exact moment they cross the doorframe. You immediately see their body language, you hear their voice. You just bought yourself precious seconds to either flee, take cover, or prepare for a confrontation. Those few seconds you gain just from your seat choice, they can literally mean the difference between life and death.
Okay, let's shift gears to Section 3. Scenario 2. The subway. Navigating public transit. Honestly, public transportation is a bit of a tactical nightmare. You're in these closed, moving tubes. They're often completely overcrowded. You've got extremely mixed crowds and very limited escape routes. Your personal space shrinks down to almost nothing, which makes the geometry of survival absolutely essential here. So, the mistake? You let yourself get squeezed right into the middle of a packed train car. Or, even worse, you trap yourself in one of those dead-end window seats, completely pinned in by strangers, entirely distracted because you're just staring down at a smartphone. The professional tactic is the exact opposite. You want to stay near the exits or up by the driver cabin, where emergency intercoms usually are. You physically lean your back against a partition to protect it, and most importantly, you monitor the opposite angles. Who's sitting across from you? Who is pacing through the aisle? You proactively increase your distance from, say, conspicuous or heavily intoxicated groups before any bad dynamic even has a chance to develop.
Now wait, there is a very important nuance I need to add here. Although I just said you should be near the exits, never stand directly in the doorway block. Why is that? Because that is the classic, absolute favorite zone for grab-and-run thefts. Someone snatches your smartphone or your bag right out of your hand and jumps off the train at the exact second those doors start to close. You're stuck inside, the door shuts in your face, and the perpetrator is long gone on the platform. So definitely position yourself near the exit, but always keep a small tactical buffer from the actual threshold.
Bringing us to Section 4, Scenario 3, the ATM, the classic choke point.
Whenever we talk about spatial tactics, the ATM is pretty much the prime example of a choke point. Think about it. You are tied to a fixed location, you're performing a task that demands your attention, and the end result of that action is a stack of cash. It is easily one of the most vulnerable moments of your entire daily routine, and believe me, perpetrators know this exactly. The mistake 99% of people make here is actually terrifying. They walk up to the machine, stare rigidly and exclusively at that tiny little screen, and completely tune out their surroundings. Half the time, their handbags or backpacks are just hanging wide open. It's extreme tunnel vision. The tactic, however, demands that you utilize your peripheral vision and project defensive readiness. You have to silently communicate to the room. I am not an easy victim. I am paying attention.
Let's break this down into 3 simple physical steps. Step 1. Before you even walk up to the machine, perform a quick 360-degree scan. Who is standing nearby? Is there someone just lingering around for no apparent reason? If your gut instinct sounds an alarm, just abort. Seriously, you can get cash later. Step 2. When you actually are at the machine, stand at a slight angle, kind of like a shoulder check position. This lets you operate the screen, but still keep the space directly behind you right in your peripheral vision. And step 3, keep your free hand out of your pocket. Keep it defensively ready at your hip or just in the open space in front of you. Your entire body language has to signal readiness, never helplessness. Remember, predators are out there looking for victims, not opponents.
All right, Section 5. The professional mindset, awareness versus paranoia.
So, all these physical techniques we just went over, they only work if you have the right mental foundation. A lot of people hesitate to actually use these tactics in their daily lives because, well, they're worried they'll look anxious or overly suspicious to other people. They think, I don't want to ruin my nice evening out constantly looking for danger. But honestly, that is a complete misunderstanding of the whole system. Spatial tactics are a sign of quiet professionalism, not a sign of fear. Think about it. An airline pilot doesn't check the plane's instruments before takeoff because he's terrified the plane is going to crash, right? He does it because he's a highly trained professional. That is exactly how you should move through your everyday life. When you walk into a restaurant and secure the strategically best seat in 2 seconds flat, you do it with quiet, calm competence. You aren't scared. You are simply operating on a much, much higher level of awareness than everyone else in that room.
And here is the absolute most critical takeaway from this entire briefing, 100%. It costs you absolutely zero extra energy to sit against the wall facing the door in a cafe, rather than squeezing yourself into the vulnerable middle of the room. You're still eating the exact same food, drinking the same coffee, having the same great conversations with your friends. But for this effort of literally zero extra energy, you improve your survival chances in a real crisis by a flat 100%. You've bought yourself time. You've bought yourself oversight. That right there is the ultimate return on investment for your personal safety.
So, let's do a quick reality check to wrap this up. Where are you sitting right in this exact second, and what is directly behind your back? Do you have the door in your line of sight? If the answer to that is no, well, you know exactly what you need to change starting today. Observe your surroundings, control the space, and stay safe out there.